going on, everybody? Welcome to. Oh, looking at my Amazon page. Welcome. It's been, I think, like a week or two since. And I don't have my. Oh, I do have my coffee here. It's been like a week or two since I published anything. I think the last one was my top games of 2022, and that's been how long? So, what's been going on for about a week or two? Just work, work. And that's how many jobs, and then family. So a lot of stuff. Looking to buy a truck. Um, so a lot of stuff going on. What I wanted to talk to you guys today is I don't want to talk about Kerbal Space Program 2, although I want to get this game. I play Kerbal Space Program 1, and it's really good. Like you see this, and you're like, my gosh, is that Kerbal? Give me the middle finger. Uh, but basically, when you look at this, and you're like, all right, this is like some kind of like animated kind of game. It's garbage. No, it's actually really, really cool. In essence, if you ever wanted to create a space program, this is probably the most realistic game out there. And I'm not even joking. You get to build your own rockets, uh, build your own spacecraft, uh, and it uses like real space mechanics. So if you think you're just going to launch into orbit, no, you got to get the right payload, right acceleration, all that goodness. And if you have like a space station orbit, you're like, oh, I'm just going to dock with it. It ain't that easy. So if you want something very true to life, this is it. Really like Kerbal Space Program 1. And so I'm planning to hopefully get that. What I wanted to talk to you guys today is about Company of Heroes. I was going to say Deuce, but that's not Deuce. Yes, so
3 commands the forces of the Deutsches Afrika Korps
the
in
Deutsches
historic
Afrika
battles
Korps.
across the deserts of North Africa. Combine air, land, and sea forces to liberate Italy
Oh,
in a
wow.
highly replayable, dynamic campaign.
Oh, wow, so there's a campaign. Oh, that's new.
Play at your own pace. Take stock. Then unleash devastating precision.
Oh, wow. I want to know how destructible the environments are.
Overwhelm your opponents with 4 unique
What
factions
the heck is this? What is that?
and 12 all-new international battle groups, including international forces from countries such as India and Italy.
I don't know, but this does, I don't know. The graphics look good, but it's a little bit odd. The sprites, at least.
Compete against your friends in competitive multiplayer modes.
Looks cool.
Bring
You
your
say I dare you?
allies and beat the odds together. The most spectacular strategy game yet is now available on Steam.
Cool. Nice.
Join the fight today.
A couple things, though. About... A couple things. So, one, this game is $60. So, unfortunately, I'm a broke boy. The way everything's going up. Our car insurance just went up like 30, 40 bucks. Everything's going up, and except our salary is, in fact, getting laid off soon. So things are not going well on that front. So that's not good. Uh, and $60 right now is probably not a good investment. So I'm probably gonna have to save money for this game. Um, there's a lot of videos on this, but the thing that concerns me is this. So I'd be willing to throw caution into the wind if this was, I don't know, like 90. But I'm very curious about these. Ooh, this guy's a Nerdgasm. I think he's a popular YouTuber. I might be wrong, but I received this game with a AMD CPU bundle. Wow. Okay. I played this one Of all the RTS games I've played, this one is rough. I zoomed in way too close. The UI is garbage, and the AI is clearly unfinished. Surprise. I can't imagine paying $6 for this and feeling satisfied, even though I got the game for free. My instinct is to refund this. Wow. The game save for this is the worst I've ever seen. Play 45 minutes to beat a mission, and it won't let you save and does not autosave fix. Dang. Has potential, but it is quite lacking compared to its previous two installments. Other World War II RTS games are overall a more complete product, such as the Gates one. Already heard. Main two issues are now how disappointing the Italian campaign mechanics work. I guess that campaign thing is out the garbage. Skills and makeups of companies seem to have little to no impact on most missions. That's great. My second issue is how poor the AI is even in real-time battles. The way enemies seem to use vehicles is so ludicrous that I have to believe the AI is broken because even the first two Company of Heroes do not allow enemy AI to use vehicles as if they were on crack. That's funny. Okay. Despite this game, it still provides enough fun moments to justify continuing playing if you're already purchased, but I'd wait for patches fixes. Do you guys notice like how all the new games that are coming out lately, like all the big games, um, really are not good? Like they come out in such a rough shape, like that it's how do I say, like that is really dang. I was really overexposed there. Uh, yeah, so you notice a lot of these AAA games that come out are so unpolished. AI needs fixing. This is broken. That's broken. All this stuff. Uh, bugs. The weird thing is, but like if you compare this to other publishers, and I'm just gonna spitfire here, like Slytherin, right? Matrix Games, uh, Battlefront.com, which is a developer slash publisher. I don't honestly when I pick up those games, even like new games, I don't have issues like these. Like they're much more solid products. I guess because Matrix and Slytherin, I guess don't force a release. You know what I'm saying? With like these bigger companies like Sega is the publisher for this. Sega is a public company, right? So they're indebted to their stockholders, and stockholders, let's be honest, are a bunch of holes, right? And I'm a stockholder myself, right? I have stock in Apple, right? But I'm not one of those stockholders on Wall Street or on those day traders or whatever that literally invest one day and then 2 days later or the next day or a couple hours later take their money out, right? I literally leave my money in there for the long term because I believe in the company. Uh, and a lot of these stockholders, they force these public companies like, hey, you got to publish this game. We need dividends. We need our basically dividends. We need our profit. And they rush these games out and they don't do well in the beginning. Paradox is another good example. Like, I love Paradox. Don't get me wrong. Paradox is one of my favorite publishers. They make incredible games. But you can see the difference. What was that, Victoria? But you can see the difference between Paradox private company and Paradox public company, right? There's a huge difference. A lot of people, you go on forums, they will mention that. I'm an old timer Paradox guy. I've used Paradox games since the 90s. Yes, I'm that old. I remember picking up Victoria 1, not 2, 1. I remember picking up Hearts of Iron Uno. I got that one right. And those games were beautiful. And I feel like lately, and right here you got Victoria 3, the reviews lately are positive in the 71s. But when this game came out, it was in the 60s. Technically, overall, it's still a 67. I'm not, I really don't like, how do I say this? the game released is not where it should be, I feel. Right? When Victoria 1, Victoria 2 came out, right? Like I played the vanilla versions. I got it like first day, right? When I booted those games up, had an incredible time. There were some bugs, obviously. That's fine. It's a big game at that time in the 90s for a sandbox game. That was a huge, pretty huge thing. Um, but when this game came out, obviously it wasn't finished, right? It had a lot of bugs, more than usual. Three, it was stripped. It's more casual than any other Victoria game before it. Uh, Hands off military. The military system, even though it's hands off, is so bare bones. Like you can do basic things like even moving an army from one side of the country to another. There's just oh, if you see my review on it, it's just oh. So this game came out. It was in the '60s, might have been yeah '60s, and some people liked it, some people didn't. I was the ones that didn't. Um, but I have a feeling, this is something that has to deal with them being a public company. Since they become a public company, a lot of the games are moving toward the casual audience. And why? Because they want to appeal to more gamers, right? They want to appeal to more casual gamers. They can get into this market, get into these games, but they have to dumb it down a little bit. And when you do that, you take away a lot of the what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Take away a lot of the soul of the game. Not all of it, but a little bit. Miguel says hello there. Being a stockholder in a software house is quite a gamble, same as a football club shareholder. It's quite a ride, seldomly a good one. Yeah. Um, and honestly, I would invest in Paradox had they stayed more for the hardcore audience. The more traditional Paradox gamer. The people that have played Hearts of Iron 1, 2, 3. Where cores actually existed. Hearts Iron 4, as much as I love it, does not have cores. And if you pick up a World War II book, you open it up, um, there are cores there. So, and I know this is all in the purpose of, hey, we want to appeal to more gamers. We want to make the game easier to play. Yes, I understand that, but you're trying to balance, jigsaw puzzle. I don't know, one of those things, that the kids play on, like that, and go like this. I don't know what those things are called. You're trying to balance that, and it's never gonna be a good balance. You're always gonna have like that, right? Um, so by you appealing to casual gamers, you're alienating the hardcore players like me. While I still play Hearts of Iron 4, I don't play it as much as I did 1, 2, or 3 of Hearts of Iron. Um, and obviously, I'm not playing Victoria 3, not even a fraction of what I played 1 and 2 in. I'm hoping down the road they start putting back some of the good stuff in the game. One of the things that I wish they would put back in is let capitalists be capitalists, right? Like, I want the free market in this game. This game, in essence, is right now, and I don't want to say anything too negative, but it's technically you're running a communist country because you're controlling every facet of production. You're the one building the factories. You're the one building the expanding the agriculture. You have your hands in every pocket of the economy. That wasn't so with Victoria 1 or 2. You really didn't need to build all the factories. The capitalists will do that. You adjust the taxes, right? And if you get that right, perfect. You know, the capitalists will do it, and they will react to market conditions. And that's what you want. You don't want to deal with everything. At least I didn't, and a lot of other people don't. And a lot of people love playing the war aspect of Victoria, right? They took that completely out, and they didn't give anything else in return. So You know, if they added a lot more depth into the economy system, then I would have said, okay, I'll continue. But obviously they didn't, and it's just not there. And I'm hoping maybe in a year or two we'll be there, but it's not there yet. Um, I'm glad that I love that Steam has all these reviews because I can read them and be like, I want I want to buy this game. Literally a couple hours ago, I was like, man, I want to buy this game. Maybe I could throw in my credit card. I don't know. This is probably not a good idea. My car just broke down. Yeah, my car just broke down. Rat ate through my coolant hose. Yeah, fun time. Freaking rat. Anyway, so I was thinking, I was like, maybe throw in a credit card. I don't know, something like that. And then I come on here, I'm like, mixed. This is good for me because I get to save my money, right? But it doesn't look. I mean, based on the reviews, guys, even the positive reviews are not that good.
The British forces. Flexible, well-rounded, resilient. They can
There's
count on
something
their
with these sprites,
tenacious
though.
soldiers,
They
their
seem.
indomitable resolve, and their Commonwealth allies
I
to
don't know.
fight
They
through
seem a little
any
weird.
combat scenario. The British forces' adaptable units and artillery support
Like,
make them
all right,
flexible, adaptable units.
you know what I'm saying? Like that looks so. These sprites look. It's the same bloody sprite twice.
And artillery support make them flexible.
I don't know. It seems a little, I don't know, too animated or something. Like, look at his socks or whatever the freak these things are. They're.
Flexible and efficient. They can shrug off assaults by entrenching weapons before striking with a mix of vehicles and
It's that same bloody sprite three
armed
times.
infantry.
Same sprite, same sprite.
Stubborn and resilient, the British can bring
I don't know. Look at this. This doesn't look. That doesn't look
to fight
seamless. Oh, crap. Hold on. Right? Like, correct me if I'm
the
wrong.
enemy or let them take a shot. Hunker down and keep on fighting.
Those are nice textures. I don't know. A lot of this
As long as
seems
it takes
muddy.
to
Yeah, very muddy.
come out on top.
Now, let's compare this to a game that's a couple years old, right? Let's dive into hold on, I want to show you guys. All right. So, games. What's one of their latest games? Final Blitzkrieg, right? This game's same $60. Man, I wish my Linux thing had the zoom feature. Uh, Usually on my Mac, I would just double tap and it would zoom in. I can't do that here. I keep forgetting. Pictures. There we go. Where's my zoom? Going between Mac and Linux, sometimes it's kind of like living in two houses. How the heck do I zoom in this? I totally forgot. How about Control Plus? No, that's not working. I will tell you, using a Mac is a little bit more intuitive. While I love Linux, there's a few things here that's is not. Oh, there we go. All right, this is probably not a good example. Screenshots. Now, these don't look muddy at all. Like, this looks very nice. Obviously, these textures, they definitely do look different, right? Obviously. Um, that's nice. Yeah, this seems a lot more detail on these. And one thing I will say for this, there's at least there's some variety here in the textures. But you can even see from like this distance, and this is probably not even in a full HD quality. Like there's a lot more detail in this. So I don't know. Like I feel this game is years old, and at least for the vehicles, the quality is better than Company of Heroes, and that's a small company. And this is a big company. Now I know some of you guys are gonna be like, "Well, this is a casual RTS." Yeah, but
Mobile,
you can
mechanized,
upgrade the.
elite.
You could still have great
Born from
graphics.
Germany and supported by Italian comrades, these soldiers
What the?
are experts in
I thought that was somebody saying that doesn't look good. Yeah, I mean,
desert warfare, betting on flexibility over raw power. Hit-and-run tactics are at the foundation of their military doctrine. They are masters of mobility, navigating vast spaces and using their agility to take out key
see now that is good. Like you could see the textures in this. So some of
targets
the
with their wide
models,
array
some of
of
the
armored
textures are good.
vehicles. Blink, and you will be overwhelmed by their bold stride. The deafening
That's
roar of
very
engines,
nice.
the thunderous blows of cannons, the ground will shake under the unrelenting assaults of the Deutsches Afrika Korps.
Did they even make it in box? Oh, you got paratroopers in this. I wonder how that other game from Combat Mission handles paratroopers. Oh, that's cool. Got those big rail artilleries. I don't know. Honestly, if I did have that $60, I would probably actually invest in a game like this. You know, I think combat missions for more for the grognards, and then you have the other one, uh, Company of Heroes for the non-grognards. Miguel, all right, let's see. The bottom line becomes so much more important as a public company, hence the £20 DLC on Stellaris, for instance. And yet this Hearts of Iron is much deeper experience than what came before. Yeah, I will say that the DLCs do add quite a bit more, but I do feel like there's a lot of stuff lacking. I'm trying to remember some of the stuff, but obviously the cores being one of them. There's a few things they took from the army side. So they gave some, they took some, so it's back and forth. CK3 Stellaris and Hearts Iron 4 are still staples in what they do, and I haven't seen no one doing anything similar. Yeah, that's true. That's why I buy them. They seem sprites. That's the problem, I guess. Hearts Iron 4 Millennium Dawn is the modern day geopolitical and war simulator. Millennium Dawn. Let's check that out. Len. If I could only spell Millennium Dawn. Did you mean Millennium Dawn? Yes, I did. Did I read that right? Hearts Iron 4 and Millennium Dawn is the modern day. Okay, let me check that out. Oh, my bad. Okay, it's a mod. Okay, let me check that out actually. Ooh, I haven't heard of this. See, this is something that I don't know why Paradox has not done this. Like, I don't get it. Um, Everybody has literally been screaming for a modern day Hearts Iron like game, right? Everybody has been asking Paradox for this. I mean, heck, East versus West is still one of the games that are still talked about, right? People are like, man, I wish that game came out. And I don't know why they haven't started, or I guess, ooh, this is cool. Satellites. Oh, Snap, Crackle, and Pop. Oh, this is cool. Oh, wow. Okay. Military spy, civilian comm. Ooh, that is cool. I like that. Economic preview. Ooh. Angriest bird. I wish I had like a left arrow so you don't have to like close this and then go to another one. Nuclear warheads. Oh yeah, the arms race. Oh oh oh. So obviously there are nuclear bombs in this, so nuclear war is a possibility. There's a lot of tech. Train 1995. Genetic engineering. Interesting. There's a lot of screenshots on the focus and stuff, but not on like, oh, maybe here. Oh, you could do B-2 bombers. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Oh, we looked at that one. Ah, interesting. So I'm assuming the Iraq War, January 22nd, 2000. That's, I guess it's more sandbox because, wow. Okay, cool. All right, let's take a look at this. You got me really interested in this. All right, new and unique maps, economic system, debt corruption, like that. Modern details, civil wars, if it exists, it's here. Nice. Focus trees is Afghan. Wow, there's a lot of focus trees. I think they did more focus trees than Paradox has done. Accurate armies, navies, aircraft equipment based on real world statistics collected by Military Balance 2016. Wow. New tech tree, new economic. Is this what version is this out as? Change notes. Oh wow, version 1.75. So this is very mature at this point. Okay, this is definitely going on my on my I'm definitely going to be playing this. Like literally after this stream, I'm going to be playing this game. Wow. Okay. You know, I have never checked out, and I know I probably should have, but not many, not many. What do you call it? Hearts of Iron mods usually pop up. Millennium Dawn Classic. Dude, there's a lot of people trying to rip off this one mod. Look at how many Millennium Dawns there are. I wonder if this is another rip off. Never annex Morit, where the mode would stop working. I don't think this is the right one. Yeah, everybody's ripping off this one guy. This one team. They're like, hey, we're doing a Millennium Dawn too. Hey, I'm doing Millennium Dawn. I'm doing a Millennium Dawn. All right. So the way to find the real, if the real Millennium Dawn will please stand up. And $20 says none of you got that, or maybe the old folks of you got that, because real Slim Shady, please stand up. Please stand up. Jeez, man, how many Millennium Dawns are there? I figure if you do sort it by most popular, the real one will pop up. I guess it's the classic one. Yeah, it's probably this one. This looks legit. All right, especially with there's not any screenshots though for it in here. Yeah, so I'm gonna play this. This seems really cool. I wonder what other really great mods exist for this. Huh. Very, very cool. I like this. A modern day mod. Okay, is the actual name for it. Thank you. Look at Road to 56, also great. Ooh, jeez. Road to 56. Dude, you got a lot of really good recommendations. I like the sound of Road to 56. Here, somebody got hurt downstairs. Kids are fighting. There we go. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this is the legit one. Okay, good. All right. And then let me see that Road to 56. You know, I get very interested in these modifications, especially Cold War and modern day, probably because I don't know. I find the Cold War very interested in how close we came to, you know. But considering the way the world is going now, things are getting serious now. You know, I mean, the way things are going now is just ridiculous. I don't know if you guys follow the news, but it's just we hit yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Dude, they fire more artillery rounds than in a World War II battle. Like, I think was it Russia fires on average around 20,000 rounds a day. Ukraine's around 5-6,000. And this 20,000 rounds a day is down from their 60 to 80,000 rounds a day. That's World War II, World War One level of artillery. Um, so much so that we can't keep up with the stock of actually supplying them. It's just kind of crazy. And then now China is planning to supply Russia with artillery, right, ammunition, and drones. So China's getting more involved. They're making plans for an invasion of Taiwan. Well, they've been making plans, and they're becoming more blunt with violating Taiwan airspace, building up their military, basically getting very serious on invading in the next couple of years. So you got Russia in Europe, and you got China with Taiwan. And every time I think of these two, I'm thinking of Germany and Japan, right? Because it's like history repeating itself, right? Russia invaded Ukraine to do the same thing that Germany did in 39, right? And China is doing the same thing that pretty much Japan did, right? They feel like, hey, this territory belongs to us. We're going to take it. Um, and what is kind of like, I guess for me, crazy is the fact that it's 2022, right? the U.S. economy is really embedded, and so is the Chinese economy in the United States, right? They're kind of very closely linked, right? I mean, pick up a technology product made in China, right? And then we send a lot of stuff to China ourselves in terms of agriculture and a bunch of other stuff. Um, Once this becomes a hot war, right? Let's say China attacks Taiwan, right? U.S. is going to get involved, right? We just announced that we're adding troops into Taiwan. We're putting American troops into Taiwan. We just negotiated to build more bases in the Philippines. A huge treaty has just been signed with that. And for the first time, I think in 90 years, the U.S. has made a new base. The new base is in Guam, and it's our United States Marine Corps base, right? And I believe they're going to station, I think, a division there or such. So we're getting very serious with the defense of Taiwan, which basically means that China is getting more serious and more. Uh, they're getting closer. Obviously, we're just basically answering what they're doing, right? So they're building their navy, they're building their army, all this stuff, the air force, to make these plans to invade Taiwan. So we're responding to that by building up our defense posture there. So I always ask myself, I'm like, dude, are you like? I don't understand the Chinese mindset of this nut job that's in charge, right? You do realize the moment you fire one rocket, you know, one, I don't know, bottle rocket, it it's over. The economy is over for China. Like there is not going to be another, you know, I mean, think about it. I mean, Apple produces a lot of stuff there, Samsung, all the technology products, TVs, all this stuff that stops. So China is not going to get the money that their entire industry is going to stop because no one's going to buy their stuff, right? U.S. is going to do like a ban on doing any type of business with China because obviously we'll be at war, and I don't know. To me, it's just for Taiwan. I don't understand. Instead of developing amicable relations, doing the long work, right? Like, hey, we want Taiwan part of China. Okay, well, how about this? How about you develop relations with Taiwan over the next 100 years, maybe 150 years? You know, provide them economic gratuities. Uh, you know, diplomatic gratuities. But just dev- make you buddy to buddy with them, and eventually, two people will, grow tighter, tighter, tighter. Eventually, but like, yeah, we'll join you. We'll become one nation, as long as you change some of your policies, this and that, right? Blah, blah, blah. And we'll become one nation. That's the long work. That's to say, all right, look, we realize it's going to take a long time. We'll reform some of our policies. We'll become bros, right? And over the long term, and eventually you can become that one country. No, they're like, no, we don't want to change. We know best. And if you don't want to join us, well, fine. We're just going to take you. Like, that's like the mentality of a child. So history's going to look back on the next couple of years, like as we look back on World War II. People 100 years from today, if we get that far, are going to look back and be like, wow, I wonder what those people in 2022 or 2023 were thinking. It's crazy. Um, Miguel says, I really think China is way too dependent on world economy to risk such a wayward. That's what I think too. They're way, like you were saying, way too dependent. Europe and U.S. are their main markets. Would they sell their economic power to Vietnam, Russia? Okay, maybe India. Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you. I mean, it's, I but the thing that really rocks me, and what I can't understand is that they're doing it, right? Like they know exactly what you're saying, right? They know like, hey, well, we could just work with India and Russia. That's basically are going to be our markets. They know that, and they're still going ahead with that. They're still okay with that, and that to me is like a diluted mindset. Like the free world. If you take U.S., Canada, UK, France, Germany, just pile on the nations, right? Our GDP all together, right, just strips China and Russia. Like, if you want to do GDP to GDP, we just cream them, right? There is no way that they can compete with the U.S. and the allied, the democratic nations. But they believe their government, their belief system is superior, and obviously it's not, because I mean it's not. I'm gonna be arrogant here and say it's not. Uh, you have, you just have such diluted mindsets that like, hey, we're superior. Like this is stuff that's conquerors from 1,000 or 2,000 years ago were thinking in their heads, and you'd feel like with technology and the progress of time that you would mature and be like, well, wouldn't we have our strengths, and it's kind of like food, right? Italians make the best pizza, right? Obviously. You know, but you go to like, all right, who makes the best? I don't know. Freaking, I can't think of a. Let's see, who makes the best cordon bleu, and it's probably France or whatever. Each country, each peoples in the world has something that they're known for, that they're great for. Their entire, how do I say, their entire system, their entire belief system, their entire culture is not the best of everything. And you'd figure it's 2023, they would know that by now, but apparently not. Um, and it concerns me because, we have three kids, right? It's 2023. We're going headlong into this, right? China's not backing down. Russia obviously is not backing down. I mean, obviously they're about to they started their spring offensive. I don't know if you guys have been following the news on that, but they started their spring offensive, and a lot of people were like, "Did they start it? I think they started it. No, I think it's the 24th. They're gonna start it. This can't be the spring offensive because it was such a shit show. Like it was such a shit show. They started assaulting the Ukrainian lines, right? And everybody was thinking, it was like, oh, this is like the preamble. Like this is the pre to the main thrust. The main thrust will be the 24th, the 1 year anniversary, because Russians are crazy about anniversaries. 24th came and went. That's it. Russians don't have anything. Whatever artillery they have, whatever manpower they threw into Ukraine, which is what projections show between 400, approximately 400,000 troops, just in the eastern side of Ukraine, that they're smashing into the lines. But they're not using any combined arms doctrine, which basically means they're fighting a World War One war. What happens in World War One? Nothing moves. Pick up a history book. Like I don't understand. It's like you do realize without combined arms, right? You're throwing 1 million to 2 million troops against another entrenched line. You might get meters, right? That's it. Um, to me, it's just I don't know. Either Putin or his generals or what, I don't know what's in their head to thinking that throwing hundreds of thousands of soldiers against an entrenched position, thinking that they're going to make a breakthrough and somehow push from this area here into let me pull up a map. Luhansk. I know we're getting a little what do you call it? We're getting a little bit off the topic, but I wanted to bring this up because something I wanted to talk about. Um, First time they don't have anything up here for. Oh, there we go. Dang it. So going into here, right? There we go. Okay. So they're attacking. We all know Bakhmut, right? But there's a Ukrainian town here that once they push, they're supposed to. Where is it? Lachansk, Lyman. Yeah. So there it is, Bakhmut. So the projections show that they're trying to push through Bakhmut, and this town right here is their end goal, right? Which is not a lot. This is what, 20 miles? Like, their entire spring offensive is a total of 10 to 20 miles of gain. You know, I mean, compare that with, I don't know, combined arms, right? Where you have, I don't know, what is that? Operation, not Torch, but the one where the U.S. breakout of Normandy, right? Combined Arms does that, where you have rapid progress, right? Paris in a few weeks, right? Operation Barbarossa, Combined Arms, straight to Moscow within 1, 2, 3, right? Utilizing combined arms gets you large swaths of land, right? They're fighting World War One style, where they're like, and now we're here from August to today. September, October, November, December, January, February, 7 months, and they got a total of 5 miles, roughly. Good job. And that's where they were pushing their best forces, their most prepared, or so that's what they got, right? And obviously, you had Ukrainians that took this entire region with, again, combined arms. They were using, I mean, they weren't using air because nobody has control of the skies, but they were using armor, right? They were using, spearheads right into the and basically surrounding and destroying entire Russian units. Um, and they got this, what was it, like a week? It was roughly about a week. Um, and they got all this territory in a week. And obviously, this is more than 5 miles, right? That we're looking at, what, 50, 60, 70 miles roughly. Um, so, and then you have the whole Kherson region, which took a couple more weeks, but that's a big swath of land. And Russians had really, how do I say, professional, not mobilized units here. Eventually, they put mobilized, but they had professional active duty troops in this region, and they still lost it. Right? Russians are thinking World War One. I don't know why, because obviously the only thing I can think of the reason why they're doing World War One is because they're out of their professional modern day tanks. They don't have air superiority. Um, and they're focusing on their tried and true method, which is artillery. Russians are in love with artillery. If artillery was a woman, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna stop right there. But Russians are in love with artillery, and that's why they expend 60, 80,000 rounds, thinking, "Hey, artillery is gonna do it." No, it's not. It's never done it. Right? Look at any World War One battle. Yes, there were millions of artillery rounds being fired, and the most they got was a couple hundred yards. Right? Um, and I don't want to give, like, if I was in a position where I had old tanks, right, from the 60s and 70s, right, conscripts, mobilized troops. So I only had maybe a tenth of the army or 2/10 of the army that had actually any professional level experience. The majority are all volunteers. Uh, you would still want to utilize your combined arms. Yes, throw your air force into it. You're going to lose a lot of planes, but you can make large swaths of gains on the ground. Um, and utilize whatever tanks you have and use, spearheads directly in to your enemy territory, right? Utilize the armor to kind of, make pincer movements and, basically surround the enemy, and then have the infantry, finish the job. They don't believe in that. I guess in their head, it's like, hey, yeah, it's not attractive, so we're not doing it. I'm glad the Ukrainians are heeding that type of warfare, because they're going to do something soon. I have a feeling where they're going to push on Mariupol, and there's another town here, but I have a feeling they're going to cut this in two. Every defense expert says that they're going to cut this in two, um, and that's what I would do too. Cut this in two. They blew up that Crimean bridge. I mean, it's still somewhat operational, but by cutting this, that bridge getting hit again, all these Russian units, army basically, or armies, are going to be out of supply and surrounded. I have a feeling they would probably rush to this area and try to swim to the other side, if they could. I have a feeling that's what will happen. If they do that and they do break through and take Mariupol and what was the other town? Yeah, I forgot the name of it. And Ukraine pushes on here, Russian are just going to collapse, especially with U.S. tanks, Abrams Crusader tanks from UK, Leopard 2s, Leopard 1s, pushing and squeezing them in Crimea, and eventually just basically, I mean, breaking them, and eventually liberating Crimea. Um, I don't even think Ukrainians need to push that far. I feel like once they make this, Russians are going to freak out in this area, and they're probably going to try to readjust their lines. And if Ukraine basically creates a temporary force here to hold off any Russian attacks from the east, while their main force pushes this way and breaks the Russian line, I have a feeling you're going to see a general retreat. They'll probably try to hold somewhere right around here, but with Ukrainian artillery and the HIMARS, uh, hitting whatever stockpiles of Russian supplies are here, I think it'll just be a matter of time. And eventually, they'll surrender. If not surrender, do a mass retreat to try to cross over with ferries. At that point, losing all this with Crimea, gains of 2014, Putin, one or two things is going to happen. I think at that point, once all this is liberated, one or two things is going to happen for Putin. One, he's going to wind up in an alley somewhere with something streaming at, fluid streaming at his head, right? Two, Putin is not going to wait for that to happen. He's going to utilize tactical nuclear warheads and do a shock and awe. Yes, he's going to flip a lot of people off. A lot of nations are going to you're gonna make the sanctions look like nothing. I have a feeling at that point the U.S. I think one U.S. defense expert or former secretary said that will most likely go in and take out those launchers that fire tactical nuclear warheads with NATO aircraft. Um, I think at that point, once that happens, that's when the trigger is turned. Um, when that defense expert says that most likely U.S. response or NATO response would be to take out those tactical nuclear warhead launchers with NATO aircraft, um, what probably will happen is Russians are going to fire on the NATO aircraft. Most likely we'll have some losses in the air. U.S. and NATO is going to respond back to that with taking out those SAM sites, and then the ball is rolling. Then you're going to look at a full NATO, because I feel the use of tactical nuclear warheads would trigger, or at least get NATO to be on that cusp of actually getting fully involved in the war. I mean, we're looking at the point of like I can't even think of what NATO would do shy of actually utilizing aerial assets. What would be getting NATO to the point of not stepping over the line, but being right at that line? I can't think of anything because we're basically doing everything now. Um, yeah, they would most likely use aerial assets and start hitting Russian targets, and Russia wouldn't be able to handle NATO. Um, so it's going to be very interesting to see where this all works out. Obviously, who would have thought in 2022 we would have the biggest land war in Europe since World War II? Um, and it's not a surprise it's Russia, not a surprise. Every time I think about it, I start thinking, I'm like, in a way, Patton was right. You know, maybe Patton was right. Should have went for Moscow. A lot of people will say, "Well, that's nuts, dude." But looking at some defense experts and some strategists were saying is like Russians in 45, yes, they had a good army, right? They had a very veteran army in 45, but that was it. That was the bottom of the barrel. That was there's, there's nothing left. That was it. That's all they had left. Whatever troops they had in Europe was it. There was no more reserve. That was what they had, right? And think about it. We had nuclear atomic bombs. We had the two for Japan, but we had them, and more were on their way. So theoretically, had we engaged the Soviets, obviously we wouldn't because we're the good guys. We're not just gonna declare war like Russia does, right? But theoretically, if that did happen or something sparked that conflict and we engaged Russia, yeah, it would be a tip for toe kind of battle going back and forth, right? With US fighting back and forth, right? But the difference is once those Russian troops were lost, there was no more replacements. There was no more reservists. That was it. That's all they had. The US obviously was very different. The forces that we had in Europe were basically we're just going to be the first wave, right? U.S. could continue drafting, could continue putting forces into the field, could still be producing more tanks, more planes. Figure a lot of the trucks that were operating by Russia were U.S. based trucks. We gave them all that. They didn't have the industry to keep up with their allies, so eventually Russia would have fell. But then again, you got to ask yourself, would have been worth it? Because even if you got to Moscow, right, you would have an insurgency. So it's just, and there would basically be no avoiding where we are today. It's just crazy that we're in this type of spot. It's 2023. Nuts, isn't it? Um, well, I think that does it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Kind of curious. I'm probably gonna do a video on the road to what is this? Road to 56. I didn't even check this out. Alternate history, new troops, troop experience. Might give you coffee. What is this? Expanded timeline to 1956. Okay, I'm probably gonna play this first. All right, enhanced branches. So I wonder if they have like a 1945 version, like right after the. Hey Steam, just if you could, you see this button right here? I would like to just be clicking this and for the screenshots to go. Just putting that out there. Honestly, if I was Paradox, I would have probably got in touch with one of these DLC manufacturers and be like, "Hey, we would like to publish your content as actual release." I wonder if this focuses on like the Cold War or is this Cuba? Cuba? No. And I wonder why 56. These look like maybe Russian, so it might have to do with Russian. Alternate histories. The one thing I don't like so much about Hearts of Iron doing the sandboxing, not sandboxing, but like off the historical path is like you get some weird stuff. Like I remember in the last game, and this is probably one of the weird things that I don't like about Hearts of Iron so much is like I played the game, right? Started in 36 and by like what is it 39 or 40, it was so weird. I remember I think like I was playing as Poland and then oh my gosh, it was so weird. I eventually became at war with England. France was in a different France was at war I think with England. I think I was allied with France. It was so weird. It was just so weird. That happens a lot apparently. I don't know. All right, I'll probably check this one out after the next one. This doesn't seem as attractive as the other one. I mean, it's attractive, but it's not as attractive. So, all right. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. And then I'll start up my my Hearts of Iron game. Um, haven't been buying many games recently, except for Second Front. Bought this one too. Got 4 minutes of game time on that. And I've been playing a lot of this. I think I have like a crap ton of hours in this. I'm a little bit of a Knicks fan. That's right. Knicks finals this year. Come on, man. We can do it. We can do it. All right. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this. Catch you know next one. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think we could have avoided where we are today? Do you think I don't know if we took on Russia during World War II or Cold War, if further conflict could have been prevented? I'm just kind of curious what you guys think because I feel like like how history repeats itself. I feel like we're down that road. This is going to a world war in essence, and it's just in my head. It's just like it's 2023. Like I don't know. Like in my head, it's like it's 2023. Can we just not, and just I don't know, not, like we're in a age where we're supposed to be like, wow, I can't wait till the next PlayStation comes out, or I can't wait till the next graphics card comes out, the AMD 8800s. Oh man, look at the graphics on this, or you know, there are much more important things. Colonizing Mars and Moon, right? Like I don't understand it. And maybe I think beyond regular, it's just I don't know. I just see things like China has the capability of being the first on Mars, right? Putting the first permanent colony on the moon, right? They could put Chinese colony on the moon, right? They could do that. They could basically claim the moon. I know there are previous treaties on that, but they can technically claim the moon, be like, hey, this is part of China, whatever, right? And the moon is a lot bigger than Taiwan. I'm just gonna put that out there. And their prestige based on that would be right, and without conflict either, right? Like they wouldn't have to expend, you know, their economy, their military, nothing. They could be like, hey, by the way, the moon right there, we got people on there. It's a permanent colony. We did that, right? And everybody like, China did that. Whoa, right? Instead, they're gonna take Taiwan, even if they win, right? Which they're not. Even if they win, we took Taiwan. Everybody's gonna be like, okay, like, okay. Um, it took you 30 to 40 years to build up your military to take this island off the coast. Impressive. You know, like they could have rediverted their assets to be like, hey, we have a colony on the moon, and that's something real too, right? Like I could literally stay here and look at the moon and be like, wow. Look at my wife and be like, there Chinese people living there right now. And then my wife would be like, that's kind of crazy. Wow. There are people right on that thing right there. You can see it, right? Like you can't see Taiwan, right? Obviously we know Taiwan exists. Taiwan's there. You could visit it. But for majority of people, we're not gonna visit Taiwan. I wish I could. I mean, I love I heard the food is great there, and just so many great things about Taiwan. I wanted to visit Taiwan. They have a hotel where it's a gaming hotel. Like they have like towers, and you can just crazy, amazing stuff. Um, I don't know. To me, like that's more prestige, right? When you can be like, hey, we got people living up there, and like you can physically see it, right? That to me would be, yeah, be like a what do you call it, mafia kind of thing. Yeah, that's us. We got connections. We can do stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna stop it right there. But you see what I mean, right? And I just in my head is just they I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe it's pride, but wouldn't that mean be more pride? I don't know. Like it doesn't make sense in my mind. And the same thing with Russia. Like Russia could be capable of that. Russia has actual, you know, technically at this point a better space. Well, not now, but years ago when the space shuttle was being decommissioned, they technically were bringing our astronauts to the International Space Station. They could have influxed their space program and did that, right? Or had the first Russian person land on Mars. These are huge prestige events that Russia could have put under their belt. Instead, they chose to invade Ukraine, lose their entire economy, destroy their entire military, and even if they win, which they're not, what prestige do they gain? Causing rampant worldwide destruction, little to none, versus the opposite, where they could have been like, "Hey, look how powerful we are. We have it's just I don't know. To me, it's just, it's just I don't know. It's just so stupid. The level of intelligence by their leaders is just non-comprehensible. They don't think beyond their own peripheral vision. Like it's just to me is I cannot understand it. I don't understand it. There's so many more, and everybody want like, and this whole point of Russia is doing is to be like, we are a great power. Well, if you were a great power, right, you could have done something like that and basically wowed the world, right? And let's be honest, the US is probably going to be the first one up there, and that's going to be a pretty big prestige. That's going to be like, wow, the United States has all, they're all over here, and then now they're up there. Now they're going to Mars. We got to catch up. And that's where they are. They're going to be like, and we got to catch up. And at that point it'll be too late. Just when you have your points where you could have superseded, right? You'd be like, nah, we're just gonna build our military up, and not in a good way, right? Because I mean, the Russian military is so corrupt that obviously they had a convoy all the way from Kiev to the border of Belarus that was static, and every military general is saying this is this is like a this is like the perfect target, right? They could have just had an A-10 go zzz, and there goes the entire Russian active duty army. That's it. There, goodbye, and just uh anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy this.